Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and I've been thinking a lot about the Red Duke and Boris Todbringer lately. You see, they are unique legendary lords, they've got their own models, but, well, we can't really play as them unless we use mods. Now it has been confirmed that Boris Todbringer will get his day eventually, and we don't know anything about the Red Duke just yet, and the thing is, I've been thinking about it on how it could work. Mostly because, well, we shouldn't really pay for these characters as we already have them, but there could be DLC attached to them. We've already spoken more or less about this concept in a speculation video in May, known as the Wolf and the Hound DLC speculation. And basically what I said there is a form of a culture pack where you're not paying for the character, but you're paying for the faction. So let's just jump right in and talk about this, because I feel like it could fit for a lot of characters. So for this we need to look towards Total War 3 Kingdoms through a DLC known as Fates Divided. This was introduced near the end of the life of Total War 3 Kingdoms, but it was one of the best DLCs they released. You see, there were some characters known as Yuan Shao and Cao Cao who were already in the game. They were already there since I believe the beginning, but they didn't really have anything to make them unique. So this DLC was focused around updating them, giving them new units, and just making their factions quite unique, having their own flavor, pretty much everything that you expect from a Total War game at this day and age. It still stands, at least to me, as one of the best DLCs ever released for Three Kingdoms, though mind you, some of the Three Kingdoms DLCs were pretty much very much lacking. However, since we know that these are Total War mechanics and they can be interchangeable through games, we've seen this in the past, why not use that system for Warhammer to be able to get some lords who desperately need a bit of a glow up, glow up. So this is very similar to the idea of sub-factions, but just expanded to be its own kind of different thing. If we look at certain characters, we've got the Red Duke, we've got Toddy, we've got, say for example, Skroke, and a few others too, but I'm going to use these ones as examples. All three of these characters have their own locations, only two of them aren't playable as of yet without the use of mods of course, and really, in lore and in tabletop, sometimes one more than the other, they had their own things to make them unique. The only different thing is the Red Duke, because Mousillon doesn't really actually belong to him, but we're going to use him as the example there. So imagine if we had a DLC focused around one of those characters, or all of them if they want to be generous, and what it does is the following. First up, FLC wise, they would become fully playable, right? So you don't need a DLC to actually be able to play them. And the characters would also get their unique mechanic for free. Also, this is also what happened in Fates Divided, so that means that the Red Duke and Toddy would be playable with their own unique thing, and, well, Skroke would just get a unique mechanic because he's already playable, but he desperately needs one considering he's part of a major clan, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Let's divide this part into sections and go into each individual legendary lord, and we'll start off with the Red Duke because the Red Duke is the one that's most exciting for me. So as we're aware, FLC wise, he's already playable, he's a generic vampire count faction, all the usual bits and bobs that you can expect, but the paid side changes the Red Duke and Mousillon to a different faction, a sub-faction. So this is where we end up with Evil Bretonnia. As we may be aware, some of you may not be if you're not too well versed with the lore, but Mousillon still stands as a dukedom. It's just known as the Destroyed Dukedom, the Dark Dukedom. It's got various different names, but it still stands there. We do know that they've got their own knightly order, and yeah, it's more or less a civilization where the undead kinda outnumber the living, but they all kind of live there. It's hostile, but it would depend on who's in charge and all that. Obviously, there is a proper duke there, which is Malobord, and I imagine that we could get him as a second start. So you'd have two legendary lords in the same location, or just have the Red Duke there and Malobord somewhere else. But you'd also get units which would be a halfway mix between the vampire counts and the Bretonnian roster. Obviously there'd have to be a heavy amount of reskinning and possibly a few reanimations for turning those Bretonnians into evil Bretonnians, just to give them a different look, a few different feel, but the idea is to have a proper sub-faction. So in essence, you would be playing vampire counts, but radically different, where you'd have access to some bows and trebuchets, you'd have access to some vampire knights type of thing, which would be very much used the same way as blood knights, but it's to have a completely different playstyle. And if you remember the Mousillon mod for Warhammer 2, that's essentially what I'm saying. It's more or less just that, but turned into a bit more of a balanced state and, you know, just a few things here and there, and done in a more official way. It's a very lore-friendly thing, and it would give people reasons to buy this character. If you just want to play him as normal vanilla, that's perfectly fine. But if you want a completely new type of way to play as the vampire counts, well, there you go. The same thing could be said for Boris Todbringer. So this is a character that we all pretty much want, and we want Middenheim because, I mean, it's not just the meme, it's just kind of cool. But as we are aware, there are radically different cultures throughout the Empire, and this would be a great way to show it off. So, again, Boris would be free. He would come with a free mechanic, and, you know, he'd already have a unique way of playing. So you wouldn't have to pay for that whatsoever, but the DLC would then allow for more stuff, which means that you'd get the units from the Storm of Chaos, which was pretty much an army list, rather small, but enough to just add in some more flavor, and this would be usable by all Empire factions. I forgot to mention that the Vampire one, obviously the Red Duke and Musalon, would be, you wouldn't be able to confederate and be able to build up as various different Bretonnian units as Manfred or something, you know? But here you'd get access to a full-on army list, maybe an even further, more expanded unique mechanic, and obviously our Ulrich. So this already adds in a bunch of different things, and you're playing Middenheim and Middenland as, you know, Middenlanders, instead of, oh look, more Sigmarites. Again, our Ulrich could even begin in Midland, or could have a different start position, maybe in the Chaos Waste, going to fight the Chaos factions directly, whilst Toddy stays within his capital. Or he could just be made a legendary hero. Either way, I'm mostly just in it for Toddy, so yeah. Like I've said, I think something like this is doable, and yeah, it's a good way to bring in some flavor to factions that desperately need it. Whilst we're at that topic, this is going to sound like Skaven bias, and admittedly, yes, it very much is. But the fact is, Clan Pestilence is not fun. And the reason why I'm saying that is because Clan Pestilence is supposed to be a major clan. And unfortunately, it's not treated as such in Total War Warhammer, where all the other major clans, Eshin, Skryre, and Moulder, have unique mechanics, unique playstyles, and all that. But Pestilence doesn't, where Pestilence, to me at the very least, is objectively stronger. That's from a lore perspective before someone tries to crucify me in the comments. But they really should get something, so here's what I'm proposing. FLC-wise, we'd get something on the lines of, well, the plague-making stuff that we have for Nurgle, but stripped down for Clan Pestilence. I mean, I can't be the only person who played Nurgle and thought, well, this could work for Clan Pestilence too. So we've already got enough there for a minor rework because, well, mechanically, the Skaven are really fun overall. They just need something to kind of add a bit of flavor. And then add in some units, like, say, for example, pretty much anything that's missing from the Clan Pestilence list, because there is a few different things. Most of that was actually, well, all of it was actually focused on a small supplement, which was based on Lustria, where we'd get the mount option. That's something that was in the army book and we haven't seen yet. That's the Great Poxrat, and just a few units here and there, just to add in a little bit of flavor. All of these units would also be usable by all the other Skaven clans, because we've got that type of system going on, and it would just work out really well. Make them a major clan, have them done, and that way, you know, when we eventually get another Skaven DLC, which, you know, Thankwall is likely to be DLC, we're sorted, and we don't need another legendary lord for Clan Pestilence. So just correcting myself there, maybe it could be done that these units could be added in alongside Thankwall, so as a reinforcement type of thing. This type of DLC could be done with a lot of characters, and it could be a way just to make the, you know, the drought that we have between Lord Packs a little bit less. So if you have any suggestions, leave them in the comments below. The idea of this video was kind of push the Red Duke and Boris Todbringer a bit more. Hopefully Creative Assembly are listening. I know they do tend to watch these types of videos. Other characters are merely a bonus, but it would be a shame if we didn't get something cool for the Red Duke or Boris in the future, considering that they have so much lore that suggests them to be very different to what we'd normally expect. But with all that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below and let's have a bit of a discussion.